for your weekly dose of pop culture.
With Cassie and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Ooh, welcome,
Hey,
welcome.
hey,
Happy Saturday
hey.
night, people.
Waka waka waka. It's like waka waka waka. Okay.
Waka,
anyway,
waka. Hey, I'm Kathy, along with my
What,
brother, and
Kenny?
we are Kathy and Kenny. And each Saturday night since the pandemic and still going strong, we seek to. I don't know whether we really explain pop culture as much as we just comment on it, as we are wont to do.
Well,
so we thank
we
you
do
for coming
both.
along on this journey with
we
us.
do both because a lot of times we explain some of the things we do, and sometimes we have a backstory that explains why the pop culture is there.
Okay,
So
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I
Sometimes
will take it.
we do the research
So-
to actually explain it to you.
So it is another Saturday night. Hopefully you guys had a great week, and we thank you for hanging out with us for, the next 45, 50 minutes as we talk all things pop culture. And I think this week's topic is I called it Going Solo. Usually Kenny gives me a list with a big breakdown, but we talked about this topic, and I think you had a lot of stuff going on. Speaking of pop culture, I think you participated in something that's very kind of pop culture related. And I don't know, is this an East Coast thing, or do they do this all across the country?
I think
Talk
they do it all
a little bit about what you did today, because I think it's interesting.
today. George and his wife Jess and my grandson Milo, we went to a Renaissance fair. Where I picked up this walking stick that I've been walking around with all day. And I told my roommates I'm going to be walking around the house with this stick. And that's the way it's going to be. But it's a Renaissance
So you're
fair.
going to carry a big stick.
But speak softly.
But speak softly. Okay.
Speak softly.
All right. But okay, but get to the point. Why were you carrying the big stick?
Because I was at the Renaissance fair and they sold these sticks. And I bought this stick, and it was a Renaissance thing because they had wands, they had sticks, they had the other sticks with the stuff on top of it and stuff like that. Like they had sticks with the 20-sided dice on top, because that's what you play. That's what you play Dungeons and Dragons with.
So, wait, isn't there a new Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Yes,
streaming
and
now?
it's on Paramount Plus. Now it's on
Okay.
Paramount Plus, and I'm telling you right now, it is a dope. You have to see this movie. It's streaming now, but it is really good. And for fans, for Generation X fans who see this and remember the Saturday morning cartoon, there is an appearance. There's a live action appearance of the Saturday morning cartoon Dungeons and Dragons people.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize there was a Saturday morning Dungeons and
It was
Dragons.
a Saturday morning cartoon of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. And actually, we did a show on Dungeons and Dragons, and your son, my nephew George, played our Dragon Master and kind of walked us through a quest or an adventure. And I think people really like that show. And I got to go and see how many views it got.
Well,
but,
I'm gonna tell you what too. George, my friends Matt and Sophie that I always talk to you about. George came over their house and we all played a game of Dungeons and Dragons one day. And I
was the Dragon Master or the Dungeon Master.
George was a Dungeon Master.
And is that the official name of it? Because
that's the Dungeon Master.
I'm not nerdy enough or blurty enough to know all the.
Yeah, no, that's the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master is he sets out the whole plan and everything. And
does he know how it's going to end, or how he wants, or does he manipulate it to end the way he wants?
No, he doesn't. Well, it all depends on what decisions you make.
Okay.
So he hasn't mapped out. Like if you go here, then this happens. If you go there, then this happens. But George can explain it better than I can. But they try to make it so in the story you can move forward. To give you stuff there to help you move forward. And when we played, I was an elf bard. So I had my elf ears on. I put my elf ears on when we played, like that. Then my elf ear. It's not on right. I'm gonna put my elf ear on. And then we played Dungeons and Dragons. And I was a bard, which means a bard usually is somebody who power comes from music.
Is that like an AI robot?
No. A bard, the powers come from you could be a warrior, you could be a bard, you could be a magician, you could be a mage, you could be, there's different categories of things that you could be. I was a bard, which meant that my power came from since I'm a spoken word artist, my power came from spoken word.
Okay.
So I had to rhyme in order for my powers to manifest. So George said, before we did it, I said that was going to be George said, I'm going to hold you to that. So throughout the whole game, whenever I talked, I rhymed my words.
Oh, man. So you had to do that the whole game?
I didn't have to, but I made it so. Because George held me to that. And I'm like, you know what? You ain't said nothing but a word. So he held me to it, and I did it. I rhymed the whole game. He actually gave me extra points because the Dungeon Master can give you extra points with certain things. He actually gave me extra points for staying to my character.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
that is awesome.
But
I am not stripping. I had a jacket on, and it's cold outside here, but it's warm where I am under these lights. That is wrong on all kinds of levels.
I know. Right. It is. So anyway, but that's what we did today. We did the Renaissance Fair, and I'm going to one on. Yes, I said the Renaissance Fair. I got my cape on. I have this cloak. And I had these pants on. You don't have the picture there, but the pants I have on, I still have them on. They're like pirate pants, where at the bottom they lace up, so the pants lace up at the bottom. So I got those on, and I have my walking stick. And I bought this at the Renaissance Fair. I bought this belt and this pouch to go around me. So this pouch goes around me. This belt goes around me. And it doesn't have any loops in it, the strap, and you have to tie it to get it to work. But it's this belt here. It's got a ring on it, and this is the pouch that I bought, so you keep stuff in. So when I go to my next Renaissance Fair, I'm not carrying my little thing that I usually carry, but you to do the belt, you tie it. You don't put it through any kind of loops or anything. And when the lady sold it to me, she was showing me how to put it on, and she goes, "Have you ever tied one on?" And I'm like, "Well, last week I was at this party, and she goes, "No,
I wish I had the Rodecaster hooked up because I feel the need for sound effects. I think I am going to because I'm probably going to have to be broadcasting in here until the fall, only because I don't have the office set up, and with all this stuff from my parents, I probably won't be able to set that up. So I have to bring the Rodecaster in here so I can broadcast with sound effects. I think I should do
it. But you have to tie one on. It means to take the belt to the loop and then tie it around and hook it and tie it up to that way. But it still kept falling off. So I got to train the belt to not fall off of me. And I got to lose some weight.
Oh, okay. Okay, so both things can be true. Oh, yeah. But I thought this picture was the cutest.
Yes, Milo.
He is so adorable. And it was so funny because I was reframing some pictures. And I don't know if you can see that picture up there of George. But I just thought, oh, my God, he looks so much like little Milo.
Yeah, like you should put the pictures next to each other.
I know. I was trying to bring it up, but StreamYard isn't working with me the way I wish it were.
Yeah. So he was
been one of those kind of Saturdays. So please.
And of course, I was. They were there earlier. I was late coming because I had things to do earlier. And you know me, I move in my own. I beat to my own drum. I'll be late to my own funeral. But you know, I got there and George met me at the door and he's like, "Oh man, you know, you got Dad, you gotta do better with your time management. You can't be late." I'm like, "What? This is a big deal. It's a rent fair. Like we're having a good, like it's easy." He goes, "Yeah, but Milo's been looking for Pop all day."
Oh wow!
And then when he saw me, he ran over to me. He saw me. I was walking up with George, and he saw me like. He's like running over to me and everything. So then he hung out with me for the rest of that time. Most of that time.
Now, did Faye have a costume or did she stay home?
Faye did not go.
Oh, okay. So she just stayed home and babysat herself.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I gotta change my own diaper. I gotta get my passy.
Yeah. We left.
I ain't got time for a Renaissance fair.
We left Faye home to take care of herself. She's not even one yet. You know, we're not that attached.
She's not gonna appreciate the Renaissance fair. Whereas it looks like Milo got into it because he had a sword and he had his shield.
He had a sword. He had a shield and everything like that. And he was like, and everybody was looking at him because there was a lot of kids there. Some of them were dressed up, but none of them looked as good as my grandson. I'm sorry.
So yes,
that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, yes. See, you got the little sword there on bottom. Yes. Nobody know. Yeah, he had a little cape and everything. I'm gonna tell you what. The outfit was hot for him, though. I'm gonna tell you that. We kept giving
the temperatures like? Because I guess doing the Renaissance fair when it's that.
It was hot today. It wasn't hot, but it was a little bit more humid than usual. It was a nice day, beautiful day out. Beautiful day out. And
I'm down here where it's got cold and dreary and rainy, and we're gonna have rain all Memorial Day weekend.
Well, we're not in any poo. But anyway, he wanted to hang with Pop most of the time because at one point I had him with me and we're walking around, and they went somewhere else. I don't know where Jess and George went, but then we sat down. They were about to do a show at one point somewhere else, and we sat down in the show, and then Jess met me there, and Jess was sitting next to me. And Jess wanted to give him some water, so he went over and got water with his mom. And then he went over and sat on the other side of me that you know, look, I'm with Pop. And then I got up and I said, well, and she's like, hey, I gotta go to ATM. Because you know, they it's cheaper when you buy it with cash. Because if they said to use your card, they gotta charge you tax.
Right, service fee and tax. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I went and tapped Mac. And you know how ATMs have different things when you tap it. Well, this ATM had like a $5 service charge.
Woo! Lord, high crime. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, wow. I'm like, Bobby did it first. Wow, look at what are you doing to me? So anyway, when I got up, Nito looked at me like, where you think you? Like he said with his mom, he's like, look at me like, where you going? Like, where you think you going? And he's looking
at what that face is about.
No, yeah, well, and I said, Mila, I gotta go, you know, tap Matt. And he's looking at me like I know what that is. And and I go,
now,
okay.
And again, when you talk about pop culture, even the way we refer to ATMs, I think some of that is done locally too. Because one of the not funny, but most interesting things I always thought in the movie Ghosts, and the only reason I remember is because when it came out, I was kind of new to New York, and it was supposed to take place in New York, but I think the writers were from Philadelphia because there is a scene where he refers to the ATM and he says, and he calls it Mac. And at the time in New York, people weren't using that phrase. And MAC, which stands for Money Access Center or Money Access, I think it was a very Philadelphia area thing. And I don't think everybody called it MAC. I could be wrong, and tell me in the comments if I am wrong. But for the most part, I think it was ATM more so around the country, but very locally it was called MAC. And I remember seeing the big letters MAC on the machines. If anybody knows what I'm talking about.
And that right there is us explaining pop culture.
Oh, okay, there you go. We explain pop culture, but that's not even why we're here today, and we're so far off the mark.
I said we did, but to finish my story,
we got that was squirrel to like the nth degree.
Yes, and I said to finish my story though, I said, "Do you want to stay? We want to stay here with mommy, or do you want to come with Pop Pop?" He goes, "Pop Pop, Pop Pop." And I had to take him with me to the 18th, but then Jess got up and said, "I'll go with you too." So he wanted to follow. He wanted to stay with Pop Pop most of the day. And then we had fun doing that and whatnot. So, it was good.
You're not the star.
No, there's no story when I'm that charismatic personality that when I walk into the room, I am the story, baby.
Okay. Well then I can go on about my business and
No, I need you to do the show, man. So you got to come back in on live, man. I need you to do this. But in any event, we have totally squirreled the other way. And
very much so.
Yeah. Oh, can I say one more thing?
If I can talk a little bit, I'd love to tell you about tonight's show because I think it was, as I said in the comments, and you can see those comments down in the description, kind of inspired by the life and legacy of Tina Turner, who passed away this week at the age of 83. And we hadn't done a show about music and I don't know how long. So we knew we were going to do a show about music and we were talking about ideas. But as it turned out, I think this kind of pushed this idea to the forefront when we talk about singers who kind of came in their own as solo acts, or actually singers who may have started out as a part of a duet or group, but then kind of broke out and found their own way. And usually we work from a big list, but I think to start that list, if you could talk about Tina Turner, especially for those of you who have Sirius XM, they've been playing all Tina Turner on Soul Town, I guess in honor of her passing. And again, that includes a lot of stuff with Ike and Tina Turner. And I guess she started out as an Ikeette, because she really wasn't. It wasn't Ike and Tina Turner in the beginning, was it?
Full disclosure.
Okay.
I've never seen the movie What's Love Got to Do with It.
Oh, that has to be a serious gap in your pop culture knowledge base. Come on, what's love got to do with it? It's like one of those. It's like Love and Basketball. It's like one of those iconic films that not only do you have to turn in your pop culture card, but you also probably need to turn in your black card if you haven't seen that movie. Come on, Angela Bassett kills it in that movie.
I know Angela Bassett, Lawrence Fishburne, Eat the Cake anime.
And you couldn't even be bothered. That's just a shame.
Hey Steve, how you doing?
Hey, Steve's in the house. That is just a shame.
Look, man.
It was a good movie though, because and I don't know. Sometimes biop, I don't know. It depends. I guess it might be the level of how much you love the artist, because I'm sure there's certain biops that people see and they're like, ugh, I don't like it. I can't stand it. But then there are certain ones that, I don't know, to me, it kind of opens up that world of who that singer or that artist is. And it actually makes me want to learn more about them. And I thought Respect, the Aretha Franklin biop was excellent, as well as Jennifer Hudson. Oh, Jennifer Hudson was in Respect, but Jamie Foxx and Ray was
I did
phenomenal.
See Ray. I did see Ray.
You didn't see Ray?
I did see Ray. I saw Ray.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was starting to worry about you.
Yeah, I saw Ray.
Like your pop culture credentials are on thin ice.
Wow.
Anybody who's got that much praise for like Grease 2 and couldn't even bother to see What's Love Got to Do with it.
Grease 2 is a classic.
I don't know. I don't know what to say to that.
Grease 2 is a classic.
I am sure. In any case. But yeah, as far as going solo, I think for Tina Turner, she had more success as a solo artist.
I do like the way.
I mean, Rolling on the River is a classic.
Yeah,
and nobody can take that away.
Ike and Tina Turner did a version of the Beatles' "Let It Be" that is totally dope, and I do like the way they do that. So, yeah.
Well, I'm appreciating hearing some of these songs on Soul Town on Sirius XM because it's kind of reintroducing me to the music. And that's another thing too, I think, because there's a version of Let's Dance with her and David Bowie that's actually pretty slamming. I heard that a couple times today. Yeah, that's worth a listen. Yeah, it's pretty decent. It's not necessarily a remake because there's like a different song at the beginning, but then they break into Let's Dance towards the end. So just being exposed to some Tina Turner music has been exciting over these last couple of days. If not that it's kind of bad for the reason that we're hearing it. But I think sometimes when like you can have great success as a group, but a lot of times within the group, you know there's a person who is like the breakout star. And I think for Tina Turner, she didn't really get to shine until she was by herself. But again, if you had seen the movie, you probably would understand some of the hardship that she went through to get to where she became. But I've been hearing a lot of good Tina Turner, like her and Bryan Adams, "It's Only Love." That's a kick-ass song. I mean, that song has got a unbelievable guitar riff.
I like Beyond Thunderdome that she did.
Oh, we don't need another hero. Steve is saying he loves her cover of "Missing You." Is that oh yes, I did hear that recently. "I Ain't Missing You." That is a good cover.
The one
from the 80s, John Waite.
Yeah, John Waite. Oh, John Waite was
"Missing You" at all. Missing
now,
you.
Tina Turner was one of those people who I know we're talking about solo artists, and we're going to get to everybody else that's a solo artist pretty soon. But because Miss Turner passed this week, she was one of those rare artists that that transcended the barrier of genres. She was well respected. Hey, Scooby Life. She was well respected by the R&B genre, and she was well respected by the rock genre, and overly respected by both. Something that I'm trying to think of somebody who would compare to that, and I really can't think of anybody offhand who crossed over with that kind of respect. I mean, Bowie came close, Prince came close, Michael came close, but you got to think about iconicism. Even though Prince, Bowie, and Michael were all iconic, Tina Turner she was above their iconic. She was the kind of person who was just it's kind of hard to say.
Again, I think some of that comes from lived experience, and because she had lived that hard life and had experienced that drama and trauma, it does change you as a person and makes you stronger and probably makes you better and able to relate to people. I was actually listening to, and I know you hate Howard Stern, but I'm telling you, he's the king of interviews. He interviewed Reggie Jackson, and some of the stuff he was able to peel off the layers was so interesting. And one of the things that makes him not just this iconic baseball legend, but the person that he is because those experiences have made him more empathetic so that he can relate to more people. And by that, I mean, because of the experiences that Tina Turner had, maybe it made her more of an empath and more empathetic, that people could relate to her and see themselves in her through her music. So, hey, if you got that kind of, longevity,
I think
and that's to me, that's what's missing in some of these. Like, I don't know, I mean, no shade to your Nicki Minaj's, your Cardi B's, even your Beyonce's, but I'm not sure how the music of this era is going to have that same kind of lasting impact as like our icons. And I'm looking at our list, and I know, you know, most of the artists are still alive, but a lot of them have passed away. But yeah, if you look at the top 10 from this week in like 1983, I would be hard pressed to see if any of those folks are still alive. So
Yes.
it does make me kind of sad and makes me feel very old.
Well, you know, we gotta get old one day.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Okay, but now another artist who's kind of shining in the spotlight of late, possibly because he performed at the King's coronation, is Lionel Richie. And a lot of people know Lionel Richie as is it American Idol he's on? Because I don't do any of those shows.
He's on American
Idol judge, as you know, the guy dancing all night long, you know, as well as
dancing on the ceiling all night long.
But people, you got to remember, he started out with his classmates back in Tuskegee and the Commodores, and I think they started as like a college band, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. He started as the Commodores, and it's really interesting to see Lionel Richie on American Idol. One of the things I've noticed on American Idol is that a lot of times when people come in to perform for the artist, and they say their parents, you know, their parents might be out in the hallway or something like that or whatever. And the one thing no matter what nationality they are, no matter what color they are, their parents know who Lionel Richie is. And even some of the younger stars who are like 19, 20 years old, they're like, oh my God, Lionel Richie liked what I did. Like, wow. And you got, you know, and for me, it's when I see the white young artists who know Lionel Richie through their parents, it shows the power of his talent. Because one of the things that's hard for Black artists to do, especially in the 70s and 80s, was crossover. Crossover became easier for artists in the 80s, predominantly because of MTV. I'm be honest with you.
And that's kind of ironic because I don't think MTV played a lot of Black artists.
They did not. Not at first.
At the start, yeah.
Not at first. And the first person that called them out on it was David Bowie.
Yeah, that's true.
David Bowie.
But Scooby likes to say the Commodores are iconic too. And I know the Commodores had like some amazing hits, most of which were written by Lionel Richie. But I know that once Lionel Richie went on to go solo, I think one of their first hits, or the Commodores had a hit, and it was written by Smokey Robinson, was a song called Night Shift.
Yes.
Which paid tribute to some of the artists that came even before the Commodores, like Marvin Gaye, like Jackie Wilson, one of my personal favorites. But yeah, the Commodores is where Lionel Richie got his start and went solo. Who else is on our list? Speaking of Motown, probably one of the most famous females to go solo and leave the group. And actually, you know what? Let me say who it is first, and then I'll say my other thing. It is Diana Ross, who was with the Supremes, and Dreamgirls, the Broadway show, as well as the movie, has, and even to some extent, Sparkle is said to have been inspired by some of the events that have occurred around the phenomenon of the girl groups, the Supremes. And again, rumor has it and legend has it that, that Diana Ross, one of her stars shine brighter than anybody else's, Might have slept with the boss to get there, might not have. I don't know. I'm just telling rumors.
Could it be rain? Could it be snow? All depending on the weather.
You're right. It could be. Oh, yes, Steve, you're right. We skipped over that fact, but he did write Lady for Lionel Richie wrote Lady for Kenny Rogers. But in any case, I think Motown usually tips their hand, and because what they usually do is you might have a group and the group is going and going and going, then they start calling Diana Ross and the Scream. Yeah. So that's kind of like the signal. That's like bat signal for okay, we're trying to groom a solo artist.
Why could you call it? Why could you call it Eddie Ruffin and the Temptations? Yeah, that sounds nice.
Eddie Ruffin.
I like the way that sound. Eddie Ruffin and the Temptations. Nobody come here looking for you, Otis. Nobody come to see Otis.
So that's a movie you did see.
Yeah, I did see that.
Okay, your black card is
see you, Otis. Nobody come to see you, Otis. They come to see me.
Okay, so the black card we took away from you for missing What's Love Got to Do with It and not seeing that movie, we'll reinstate it since you can quote the Temptations TV movie.
Ain't nobody bigger than the group, Eddie. Ain't nobody bigger than the group.
All right, but see, here's the thing. See, Motown, I think, kind of seeded that distrust among some of the groups. And where it comes out, where it's really bad, is when it's a family group. So if you start calling the group El DeBarge and DeBarge, or, El DeBarge or DeBarge featuring El DeBarge, it's going to cause some hurt feelings. But DeBarge has some other problems that we could devote that to a whole show. I was listening. Yeah. I heard, you know what song I heard the other day? I heard They'll Never Be. And when I was driving in the car. And you know what? It made me so sad because I started thinking about Switch and just the promise of that group. Because the whole premise of the group was that they were such great musicians that they could switch off instruments. Yeah. And they were also so good looking. But in any case, the tragedy of DeBarge, that's a whole nother show. Yes. But I know that did not help the situation for that family act with Motown wanting to single out El DeBarge, even though he was doing a lot of the writing and singing and actually producing for their first album, which was phenomenal. But he was a victim of that, as was Michael Jackson. Now, again, I think people knew from day one. I think deep down in their bones, Randy, Marlon, and Tito knew from day one that it was Michael who had like the shine, the spark, and the magic. And really, if you watch that family special, you almost feel like, you know what, part of the secret to the success of the Jacksons or the Jackson 5 was kind of keeping a thumb on Michael, because I think they knew once he went solo.
Yeah, they were done.
Yeah.
The brothers were done.
Good night. That's all she wrote.
Yeah.
I mean,
because back in the 80s, you had to get them back together for the Jackson 5 tour in the late 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, and again, what I read in the book, and they even kind of portrayed it in the movie, the television series, is that they kind of used the mom to manipulate Michael a little bit to do that tour. I don't think that was really where his head was going, because going solo for him was, evidently creatively probably more freeing. And, just look at the hit that came off the Wall, as well as, and I think Off the Wall, which was great in itself. And come on, Quincy Jones. Need I say any more? There is a great song on that album called Girlfriend. That is so cute, and I love it.
Yeah, that's a great song. However,
and
as great as Off the Wall and Bad and all the other solo albums that he put out were, I'm going to have a very unpopular opinion. This is why I grabbed the stick, because there's something magic in my stick.
So wait, you're going to grab the stick whenever you have an unpopular opinion?
Yes.
Okay.
My unpopular opinion stick.
Grab the stick. That could, you know what, especially for the people who might be listening on the radio, that could sound, it could go either way, but go ahead. You do you.
I'm grabbing the unpopular opinion stick, and I'm going to say something here. I listen to a lot of Michael Jackson records in my rotation. I listen to a lot of Jackson 5 records in my rotation. Early Jackson 5 is way better than Michael Jackson solo.
Okay, so this is the part of the show where my brother is absolutely out of his flipping mind. So I take control of the screen because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I just don't know any other way to put it. I just got to stop him before he hurts himself. So let's go back to him.
The back of my argument, you have to listen to the harmonies of certain songs. Mama's Pearl, The Wall.
The Wall.
There's a song called The Wall. But there's a lot of songs where the Jackson 5's harmonies can be compared to or even better than the Temptations.
Ooh,
harmony-wise.
What you talking about, Willis?
Yes, this is the stick here. This is the stick. Look, the Jackson 5's harmonies are way better than anybody's harmony. If you look at you can pull up Boys to Men and put them next to an early Jackson 5 album. Harmony-wise, you're going to find that the Jackson 5 did their thing better than Boys to Men.
All right, I'll give you that, because you know what I'm thinking about now? I'm thinking about that Stevie Wonder song. He's like, Jackson 5, I hear you sing and say doo-doo-wop. Oh, doo-doo-wop. And they come in like nobody's business.
Yes.
You might have something there. Wait a minute. Okay, Nick.
I hear you now.
I hear you.
I think it might have been Stevie Wonder that mentioned that like people underestimate the harmonies that the Jackson 5 have. And you had a combination like Michael Jackson and Jermaine Jackson together with the guys, the brothers in the background, and the different harmonies that they did. And I know Jackie did some of that. Marlon did some of that when they did the version of Corner in the Sky. The Jackson 5's version of Corner in the Sky,
better than Broadway.
You are listening to harmony and the way it comes together. You listen to Jackson 5's Mama's Pearl. You listen to harmony. And they have so many other songs from the early Jackson 5 that I appreciate the Jackson 5 stuff better than I appreciate the Michael solo stuff. Because of the harmony.
I'm even thinking about the early solo stuff when he did stuff like Ben and...
No. That stuff is not even compared. See, that stuff doesn't really compare to his later stuff, like the stuff he did on Bad and you know, all the other albums. The early stuff of Michael Jackson doesn't compare to the stuff to after Off the Wall.
Now, I know we're talking about going solo, and Michael, you know, he went solo. Well, we also have to shout out Jermaine because he went solo. Maybe not to the success and degree of Michael, but Jermaine went solo. And can we also give a shout to Randy, because one of my favorite Jackson 5 songs does not have Jermaine or Michael doing the lead, but I believe I think it's Marlon does the lead on a song called I Am Love. And that was from one of their later albums, I think in this mid to early 70s. But there's a song called I Am Love.
I Am Love starts off slow and it goes into like a rock
slow, and then so you know it's a 70s song. It's one of those 70s songs where they start off slow and then next thing you know, now I'm channeling Jack Black. I'm like,
you are.
I've been playing air guitar and everything, but I Am Love. That is a great song, and you know what? The longest version of that song I've ever heard, I heard it on, or I had a copy of it as an 8-track. Hello, somebody who's going back
Whoa.
that far with me.
Whoa.
8-track version of a Jackson 5 anthology that I am love. I think that thing clocked in at like 12 minutes. It was awesome.
8-tracks were before my time. I don't remember those. I saw those in
Oh, you lie. You lie like a cheap rug. You know what an 8-track is.
I know.
In fact, what was that one song you used
also
to
we need to shout out. We need to shout out.
You used to annoy me to death.
What?
Daydreaming and I'm thinking of you. And that's all you would say. You would never move on to a verse. You would just keep repeating that to annoy me.
I'm thinking of you all night long. Also, we need to shout out Tito Jackson, who had a successful blues career, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He toured solo. Tito toured solo, playing blues guitar. But we're going to go on to some solos because we're going to run out of time.
Okay.
Share.
Before we go on, and before we run completely out of time, we want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Pop Culture Kids on a Saturday night is how we do what we do. We thank you guys. You can support the show for absolutely free. Just give us a thumbs up or a like. Subscribe to our new channel, Kathy and Kimmy Explain Pop Culture. If you Google that, I think our videos are actually the first thing that show up. Kathy and Kimmy, and yeah, K and K. There you go. But you can support the show. You can buy us a coffee. There are links in the description. But we appreciate you guys for being here and tuning in, turning on, and listening. You can also check us out on Tuesday nights where we show up as a part of Who's Got Next Radio on 101.5, and we're happy to be a part of that family as well. So if you're listening on a Tuesday night, hey, and shout out to you. Thank you for supporting us on Who's Got Next Radio. Okay, I'm sorry, Katie. You can go on with the list.
Okay, so we did Tina Turner, Ike and Tina Turner, but how about Cher and Sonny Bono? Cher what they have a voice, Bono.
I Got You, Babe. Not only that, they had a TV
and the beat goes on.
It goes on and the beat goes. But you know what? And actually, it was kind of cool. There was a news show I saw on, was it Thursday or Friday? It was the day that the announcement was made about Tina Turner. And actually, Cher was on the show talking about her experiences and her friendship with Tina Turner, because evidently, even though she lived in, was it Switzerland or Sweden? I can't remember which. Anyway, Sweden. But Cher was saying how she visited with her, and that I guess they talked on the phone, but she actually remembered her from their appearance, Ike and Tina Turner, on the Sonny and Cher show. So that I just thought that was kind of cool, like one icon kind of giving props to another icon.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
But
and
Cher is another one. Had success. Sonny and Cher was a big success. Yes. But as far as really exploding, I don't think her star really exploded until she went solo. Whether it was movie hits or musical hits, I think she probably peaked as a solo artist as opposed to as a part of a group, because I think she's got the Grammys and an Oscar to show for it.
Step out of it. Now, the thing about you can say what you want to say about, like, Nicki Minaj and I don't know who else, all these other.
Well, like, I don't know, like the Cardi B's of the world, and even the Beyonce. I'm sorry, the Beehive will have to come after me.
Yeah, but you can say whatever you want to say about the female celebrities today who have the support of the LGBTQ community, because Cher was one of the originators of that. She had the,
oh my God, she had the Cher and Bette Midler and. And granted, Lady Gaga, she took it to another level, but you couldn't have a Lady Gaga, you couldn't have a Nicki Minaj, you couldn't have the Beehive if it had not been for the Chers of the world laying the foundation.
And this is before the idea was woke or popular or PC correct. These guys had that audience and appreciated that audience that they had. So I was a little thrown back when she married the guy from Kiss, but hey, we all gotta go through it sometimes.
I kind of missed that. I used to that was my audience too. I mean, gay men love me. When I did stand-up comedy, gay men wanted to be me.
Really?
Every white gay man I knew wished they could be a black woman. Work the neck, please. Anyway.
Let me take her card now. Okay, so
Take my
Belinda Carlisle for the Go-Go's.
Oh, Belinda Carlisle, yeah. But I don't know. I think she was more successful as a go-go than a solo. Granted, she had hits as a solo.
She had a couple of songs that were successful. Donald Fagen.
But I think she's best known, or probably bigger known, as being a part of the Go-Go's.
Yeah, sure that.
I mean, she had hits.
Donald Fagen from Steely Dan.
And I think his best work, again, he had some good work solo, because The Night Fly is one of my favorite albums.
Yes.
I probably would put that in my top 20 of all-time favorite albums.
Really?
And if I wasn't allowed to include anthologies, it might even make the top 10. The Night Fly is a solid album.
Night Fly is a solid album all around. Yes, it is. It is. Bobby Brown.
Meh. I'm so meh on Bobby Brown. And
well, you gotta admit, when he left New Edition and
he had a couple of hits.
According to the late Whitney Houston, he was the king of R&B.
I'm going to reserve.
I'm going to say one more time. Bobby Brown. Bobby. We're going to give Bobby his due. Bobby. My prerogative.
All right. So we'll let that be your prerogative. Moving on. Who else do you have on your list?
So far, that's who I have who went solo from a group. I'm trying to think of anybody else, and I really can't. But, you know, if it is Steve or Scooby Life, if you have anybody else that went solo, please chime in. I
can't think. I know there are people who go solo. I don't know whether they have more or as much success than with the group. The one that came to my mind was Jody Watley, who was a part of Shalimar, but she did have some success in the late 80s as a solo act, so much so to the point where she won Best New Artist Grammy, which to me is not. She probably really shouldn't have gotten that Grammy, because she really wasn't a new artist, because she had been a part of Shalimar, you know. And also, speaking of Shalimar, Howard Hewitt was with Shalimar, and then he went solo.
Well, the whole purpose of Shalimar was to make Howard Hewitt a big solo artist, and that didn't work out quite as well. Just as the whole purpose of the Pussycat Dolls was to make that lead singer a solo
Who
artist.
Who are the Pussycat Dolls? I don't even know. I don't even know one of their songs.
I know there's a lot of Pussycat sounds. Don't you think your girl is hot like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend was a freak like me? Don't you?
Oh, okay. I don't think the musical landscape has been made better because of the contributions of Pussycat Dolls. Oh, but Steve brings up a good one. A good example. Genesis spawned two solo careers, not just Peter Gabriel, but also Phil Collins was originally from Genesis. That is a good one. And I would say both of them probably had solo success that kind of eclipsed maybe the work that they did as part of those groups.
Yes,
Not that they didn't.
I mean, Genesis did some good work, but I really, and Peter Gabriel did too. I really like Phil Collins' work. I really like Phil Collins. Phil Collins also was the only performer to perform at Live Aid, both in England and in America.
On two continents.
That's
right. And that was a question. Actually, I think Ed gave us that question as a trivia question. I think I got it wrong.
That's Kathy and Kenny explaining pop culture.
What a way to wrap up. That wraps us up.
I got to point out,
you know what? When he mentioned, I also thought of people like, actually, Fleetwood Mac has generated tons of solo careers, not just for Christine McVie, but Stevie Nicks, as well as Lindsey Buckingham. And I know the other members have done solo projects. But
I think out of Fleetwood Mac, I think no one has been more prominent than Stevie Nicks.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
to me, Edge of 17 is like possibly one of the best rock songs of all time.
You think?
It's right up there with Sweet Child of Mine.
Can we go that far? Can we go that far? Can we go that far? Edge of 17. Edge of 17 being the best rock song, one of the best rock songs.
Oh, it is. It just is.
Can we do that though? Is that kind of?
You think it
is? Is that kind of?
Damn it, Janet. Oh, I couldn't be in a weirder place.
Is that the hill that we want to die on?
I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill with Stevie Nicks. Baby, ooh, said ooh.
Is that the horse we want to ride off into the sunset with? Is that the horse we want to ride off into the sunset with?
I don't
think that is. I don't think that is. I'm getting the stick out on this one because I don't think that it's a great song. It's a great song. I love the song. However,
remember, baby, that it's only love. And that's all. That's a good song. Oh my gosh, that guitar riff.
Okay.
Come on now. It's
okay.
Tina.
So,
it's not Tina, my Tina, but Tina Turner. Come on.
This has been Kathy.
Just remember, baby,
pop culture.
That it's only
We've explained pop culture in a lot of different ways tonight. We have went off on tangents. We have said squirrel and looked the other way and went off on something totally different. And when we got to our point, next week's pop culture is going to be about
I don't know, 60 minutes long.
No, famous lines. No, okay. Famous lines and movies. Lines that make movies memorable.
Say it again, Sam.
Famous lines and movies that make them memorable.
For her, you can play it for me.
Yep, there you go. Play for her, you can play for me.
I'm walking here. You talking
exactly to me? Those kind of lines that make a movie memorable. That's what we're going to be talking about next week. Lines that make movies
good. I'm excited. Memorable. I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, I think we're going to need a bigger boat. That's the same thing I said when I came down there to help you move. I looked down the room and I said, I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
Oh, you need to see that room now. It's just about an empty boat, and I'm going to finish it up this weekend.
You take pictures and send that to me because, I looked at that room that day and I'm like, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been a fun boat ride. And, this boat is about to dock. So rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Tip the boat, don't tip the boat over. Whoa, yeah. Go on with your bad self. We will see you guys next Saturday night. Thanks so much for joining us.
Peace. God bless your soul and keep living.
I don't know. I'm in a weird place.
Thank you for geeking out with Kathy and Kenny on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.
Oh, wait, we're not supposed
to live, man.
We're not supposed to come back.